Treat every firearm as if it's loaded.
Never point a firearm at anything you're not willing to kill or destroy.
Keep your finger off the trigger until you are on target and ready to fire.
Always be sure of your target and what lies beyond it.
Hey, welcome to the second video in our series for new handgun owners. What you just heard, by the way, my name is Paul Lathrop from the Polite Society podcast. What you just heard was something that runs the beginning of every Polite Society podcast owners. Of course, the 4 rules of gun safety. This video is going to be an overview of all 4, and then we'll get a little bit deeper into each one. So, Amanda, you want to go ahead and start us off with rule 1?
Well, rule 1 is treat every firearm as if it's loaded. So here's the thing with this gun, any gun. When you pick it up, you're responsible for everything that happens from that moment. So you want to know that gun, you want to know the condition that gun is, because you may be using the gun for self-defense, you may be using the gun for practice or training or demonstration, whatever you're using it for. You need to know what the condition is. And frankly, it's your responsibility to look, to check, to know, because you cannot trust that someone else tells you what it is. And you cannot don't trust your safety or anyone else's safety to someone's eyesight where they were like, I looked at it and here's the condition. You need to look at it. You need to know. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, but you need to know. Rob?
It's more than just a rule. It's also practice. So Amanda hands me a gun on the range. I check it. It's rehearsed into my brain. That's the first thing I'll do with it. The other thing, I won't put my hand in front of the muzzle because I'm going to treat it as it's loaded, even though I've just checked it, because I want to develop the habits of treating a gun as if it's loaded. Meaning there may be rare exceptions. Oh, I'm taking a gun apart. Got it. The rest of the time, I'm developing the habit of treating it as if it's loaded. The second rule, never let the muzzle point at anything you're not willing to destroy. That means you're becoming responsible for where the gun points. Gun sitting on the table, you pick it up. Where's it headed? Is it headed at the bathroom and there are 2 layers of sheetrock to your family, to your neighbors in the next building? Whoops. You need a safe place to point that firearm. Sometimes that's hard. If you're in a hotel room and there's, 2 layers of drywall between you and the next neighbors on 20 deep, there may not be a safe location to point it. Maybe you have to just choose the safest location you can find. What do you think, Amanda?
Well, I would say in those kind of circumstances where you're unsure, the safest location you can find is the corner of the room where the 2 walls and the floor all come together. Because no matter what, that is where there is more construction material than any place else in an unknown room.
Gotcha.
And so if you don't know, that's it. The second safest place is like 3 foot in front of you aiming at the floor. I mean, is assuming that you're not on a 2nd story or a 3rd story, because you now know that you're not sweeping it near anybody else. You're not aiming it at yourself. And so just that, keeping it to where it's aimed close to you but not at you. You don't know how much gun handling experience you see, or bad gun handling that you see, where people sweep themselves, or they point it at their feet or their legs, or parts that are really going to hurt if the gun goes off. So, Paul?
Let's go ahead and move on to the 3rd one, and that is keep your finger off the trigger until you are ready to fire. That is in every instance of gun handling. If you draw the gun, your finger needs to be off, and ideally needs to be indexed high on the gun, as Amanda is demonstrating right now. If you pick it up off the table, do not let your finger go into the trigger guard. It's a multiple, all these tie together in that there needs to be more than one failure for a gun to accidentally go bang. And if you keep your finger off the trigger, there's no way, whether there's an external safety, whether it's a revolver that doesn't have a safety, whatever it is, if you keep your finger off the trigger, there's no way for it to have your finger hit the trigger and cause a discharge. And who wants to take the fourth one?
I want you to amplify number 3 a little bit, Paul,
Okay.
where they say, until you've made the decision to shoot. Okay, you've had to, someone's in your house. You may have to defend yourself. You're facing a lethal threat to you and your family. You present your firearm. Might be justified. Have you made the decision to shoot? That's a decision, even when you've presented your firearm. Until you've made that decision, keep your finger straight.
And when we get into the specific one about this one, another thing I'm going to bring up briefly, but we're going to go in depth in another video, is a case of gun retention. If your finger is outside the trigger guard when somebody's trying to grab a gun away from you and it points inadvertently at something you do not want to destroy, if your finger is outside the trigger guard, the trigger doesn't get pulled. So, all right, we want to keep these between 7 and 10 minutes. We're over 6, so let's go ahead and talk about the next one. Who wants to take your target and what lies beyond?
I'll take it. Know your target and what's beyond it. And that is that it is critical to understand that guns shoot through things. That would be why the air marshals carry a different type of bullet than concealed carry holders carry. That would be like, in some cases, you identify what you're trying to do, and you may pick a different type of gun or a different type of ammunition given your circumstances, because you have identified what is your target, what's beyond it. And if you're talking about home defense, how close are your neighbors? Where's the children's bedroom? All of those kinds of things tie into your ammunition selection, and we'll cover that in another segment. Rob, what do you got to say?
I like everything you said. If you're a new gun owner, you need to bring up your safety plan. If there are other people in the house, lots of people have a bedroom at alternate ends of the house. If somebody breaks into the middle of your house and you point the gun at them, you're also pointing it perhaps at your children or at your roommate at the other end of the house. All of these safety rules touch other considerations. That's going to be our introduction to the entire subject.
All right, that is the 4 rules. I think we're going to go ahead and set this one aside, and we'll do more videos here in the very, very near future, detailing each one in depth. Thanks for watching.